Hello, and welcome to Ultimate Patriot Radio. I'm your host, John Alex, with Gindray, Mayor, and Michael.
Right.
It's really fucking gay. I hate it.
Oh, come on! I didn't say that.
No, it's fine. No, we're keeping it. I don't fucking care. I just wanted everyone to know it was gay. Alright, so,
Wait, are we still...
yeah, we're recording. Yeah, we're recording.
In that case, how
Alright.
much were you vomiting in your mouth with the meat?
I'm sorry, what?
How much were you
Never
vomiting
mind.
in your mouth?
Forget it.
That only made me cringe a lot. Saying anything
It
Patriot
made me cringe.
in my own name.
It made me cringe listening to you say it. But it wasn't because it had anything to do with patriotism. It was just because it was just really fucking cheesy.
Did
That's
you hear
alright.
the pain in my voice?
Everything 17-year-olds do is cheesy anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
you
18.
sounded like...
I know you
sounded
hate
like
me. I love you.
You sounded like a 70... No, not 70s. 70 or 80s,
No, I said 17.
instructional... No, 70s or 80s instructional video,
Oh yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit. A little
You
bit.
know, like
Today,
the old women's
we're going to
videos,
show
maybe
you
90s.
how
So
to
in other
be
words, you sounded like
anything
you
that's
really
not a
didn't
cup.
want to be there.
Use your right
Oh,
foot
yeah,
on the gas
good.
pedal. Now push hard. Okay, good. Now brake. There
What?
you go.
Okay, so today the main topic is going to be healthcare,
He's about to have a work.
as it has been a wow, Jesus Christ.
That was good, Kyle.
I remember those videos. Great, shut up.
Exactly, right? Didn't he sound like that?
Today's gonna be healthcare. Is the point? We're gonna talk about healthcare.
Alright,
It's been around a
so...
lot.
We're gonna talk about the do's and the
Conversations.
don'ts.
The do's and don'ts of healthcare. How you too can avoid a incident falling off of a ladder.
Avoid
First,
like eating your
Toby.
chicken
Toby.
wings after shoving your fist up a cow's ass.
Toby, I already have a way you can start. You can
enough
start. You can
about
talk about.
We already started.
No, I know, but describe. I know. I'm saying to start off.
I'm
with
not
something.
talking about the argument. No, it's
Yes.
No.
Well, why not?
Oh.
It's private versus social. You might
Whatever.
as
I
well.
argued with a fucking.
I like this. No, I like where Michael's going with it. Private
Massive.
versus
I have
social.
no
Well,
strong
yeah, that's what we were.
feelings
That's
one way or
basically
the
what
other.
we're talking about in
Toby-
terms of healthcare.
Toby
We're
got
talking
an
about
IQ.
social.
Toby got in a huge Facebook fight with this guy. About
And I
it.
don't. And when I say fight, I mean incredibly one-sided because you
This is gonna be a really dumb question, but what the fuck is a Facebook?
What the fuck is a you
It's
you
something
literally
that people do.
live
They
on
like
Facebook. What are
basically
you talking
skin
about?
themselves bare and smash their faces
Face
into,
onto
like,
a book.
keyboard.
It's a book you keep
And
of
it,
people's faces.
The imprint. No, not the actual faces. Just it's still.
Well, I don't know what
you
kind of Facebook
remember-
you're keeping, but you're living a sad life.
No.
Alright,
Remember
so-
like the handprints for like
Toby,
fucking kindergarten and stuff.
We
Imagine
probably
that,
we should
with,
probably
like,
we should
angry
probably stay on
faces.
topic.
Yeah, I'm loving all this nonsense, but we have a
We
topic
haven't-
to talk about.
we
We
here.
have a topic. We haven't. It's been. I don't know how long we've been recording, but we're like 3 minutes. We haven't even started yet. Like,
Toby,
Uh,
just
Yeah.
describe,
Um,
just describe what happened.
okay. So
Tell them how you put up a meme and stuff.
long
Put up a
story
meme.
short, I put up a fucking meme about just it was like an anarchical meme from fucking one of the like a libertarian pages or something on Facebook. I can't remember who it was, so sorry for not shouting out to the 8 people watching. But the over under on it was basically somebody immediately came in with like a fucking like 3 paragraphs of ranting about like why social or why private is bad, private healthcare is bad, compared to social health or socialized healthcare. And I put up counter arguments, nothing mean, nothing like attacking character, nothing really about it. And he replied back, and I think there was like 4 posts, but they were all kind of like one-liners, and then there was one post that was like a paragraph. And he commented back, and he was like, wow, so I post a thing on your fucking page, and you go on an anarcho-capitalist rant. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? We just immediately jumped into character attacks, and then for like the next 3 days, I just after
Did
work.
you just assume my gender?
Yeah, basically, and then
I mean, yeah, those red herring arguments are
yeah,
beautiful,
that's
but-
what they were, and I think one of the comments I made actually was really passive aggressive, but he probably didn't get it was targeting him. I don't think anyone really did, but it was like. He was like, instead of like, bashing socialism, and I was like, I'm not bashing socialism. Socialism isn't a kid in high school I hate for having stupid red herring arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not bashing socialism. I want to have a conversation. And then he's apparently, I heard about like what he's talking about now, like, like he got really upset with the conversation, and like apparently he went back and talked to like one of my friends, and he was just complaining like the whole night and whatever. And you know, apparently he's just like, all he cares about is winning, and I was like, I don't, though. That was you.
Want to hear the worst argument?
Yeah.
Want to hear the worst argument? Just wait. Want to hear the worst argument?
Typical liberal stuff.
Shall we tell them about the Black Plague argument?
Oh yeah, that was the best. At one point he like lost his mind, and he was saying things like, if we had it, he's like, lives are at stake here, and I was like, no, they're not. We're having a conversation. And then he said something that's like, if we had it your way, the Black Plague would come back and everyone would have smallpox. I'm talking about having a privatized healthcare system. America's had that for like 70 years. And I'm pretty sure it's responsible to a large degree for like the ending of a lot of these types of diseases.
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of fucking argument is that? Are you stupid? It's the best. It was really funny.
Yeah, the Black Plague's gonna come back if we have.
The Black Plague is gonna come back if we have private healthcare.
Why didn't you bring up the fact that I'm pretty sure doctors in the Middle Ages didn't fucking like get paid by the government?
Yeah, well, I mean, doctors in the Middle Ages also wore fucking like
I mean, to be fair, doctors nowadays still do to a major extent get paid by the government, but
no.
I was not. Wait, that's not a good argument though.
Let's face it, plague doctors were kind of shady ass people who just saw an opportunity and maybe had some medical knowledge.
True. But I mean, even then, they were doing like stupid shit, like drilling people's heads open and like cutting out parts of people's brains and like literally making them. Yeah, they were playing trial and error for the most part. A lot of it. But I mean, that's important. At least that's still science. Like they might have fucked up, but it's still science. Like it's still them trying to figure out.
In order to try to bring us back a little bit on topic, I'll just close it off and say
we're still on
the
topic.
only way the Black Plague is ever going to come back is if the fucking rats get out of control.
Well,
bubonic plague, the thing is that it's easy to treat. So while it does occasionally come back and it'll kill maybe 6 people in a year across the planet, it's very easy to deal with because of the nature of the virus.
Which you would, because you're going to be like, wow, I feel really sick. I'm going to go to the doctors. Things aren't getting better. I'm going to go to the doctors, right? Like,
yeah.
So for the most part, most people are going to be fine.
Well, that's what he's claiming, that you can't just go to the doctors in private healthcare.
Yeah, he's saying like, you know, you're gonna be out of pocket like fucking thousands of dollars with the private healthcare system, and it's like, okay, no, most of the cost is most of the cost typically, as far as I know in America, is a lot of it comes from ambulances.
Ambulances do cost a lot, but most of the cost when it comes to healthcare in the United States comes from middleman hidden fees, stuff that gets passed down because of regulations.
Exactly, which is government. Which is always government. Yeah.
I mean, you know, with bubonic plague, for example, we're talking about the bubonic plague coming back, for example. If you talk about socialized healthcare, you have massive administrative costs you have to consider, the hidden fees that are going to pass down, the costs from regulation making things more difficult versus the free market enterprise is I meet demand based on my ability to produce, right? So we're talking about making penicillin, which, you know, you give one dosage, right, of penicillin to somebody for bubonic plague, and then they're fine. Or you give them an antibiotic, whatever they actually need. Versus doing it the other way, it's going to cost more because of all those additional things in the way.
I'm going to check something quick. But I'm pretty sure penicillin was made by a Canadian, or I'm an idiot. I think I heard something about this.
I believe penicillin is an American thing, but I'm not entirely sure.
You might be right.
Pretty irrelevant, but yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to be like Canada.
Canada pride.
Canada pride.
It's also a
North
Japanese
America.
band.
You need to edit this video and put the Trudeau.
I am not editing anything.
Trudeau Pride Toronto.
I'll find it and I can just show it on the screen, but.
Hey, it said pride, right? Come on.
God damn it, Mike.
Michael, you just...
So now I'm being red herringed off of what I was looking for to look up a stupid picture of my prime minister.
So anyway, what's the deal with healthcare, huh?
Man, you can't live with it, you can't live without it. What the frig, man?
God damn.
I've talked to some people on the street about this. And they always tell me that it's because the rich people want it, right? and that's whatever the rich people want it, and they tell me that it's the poor people, the little guys that will not be able to get their health care without it being socialized. That's always what it comes down to. He's like, they basically say we have to help people. We have to help people.
You have to help the poor people. The poor people are more important than the rich people.
But how about this? How about socialized healthcare isn't how we actually help people? Maybe there's a better way.
No, it's not. It makes people poorer.
Maybe
That's the point. If you can keep everything private, there's going to be more jobs available, better jobs available.
No, but Kyle, they assume that with socialized healthcare, that is the way to help people. That's what they're making the assumption, right? And I don't understand why we make that assumption. I guess we've just been taught to. I don't know.
Pretty much most of the fucking problems in this country can stem from the shitty education that everyone receives.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's another thing.
This is a teacher I was talking about.
Speaking of shitty education,
we can talk
about cloud trends in America. Yeah, public school. Yeah.
Well, we can definitely directly connect healthcare to our terrible education system.
Yes, we can. 100%.
So similarly to the graph that I just sent to the group chat,
I'll bring
we've
that
been
up
spending more money on the education system every year in the United States, right? We pour money into it like no other, and both in standardized testing and in the the qualifiable form, education is getting worse or stagnating in the United States. We're doing comparably less well than students from other countries in memory tests, in cognitive tests, pattern recognition, mathematics, English, science, and critical reasoning. Our students are doing badly, but the costs keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up because of all this, and it would be reasonable to say that it is because of the standardization, the way that we have our administrations growing and becoming more and more involved in the processes without contributing anything to the production end, making students better students. And in the same respect, we have this issue in healthcare. We have this issue where we are, we're subsidizing, we're subsidizing industries that produce products that are generally cheap, so and we're protecting industries, right? We're making it so where only, one or two businesses can produce, say saline, or can produce, various forms of Rohypnol or various forms of, insulin. And so we have this issue where those companies have an incentive to work with each other and drive up the price. They can price gouge because the government will guarantee that those costs are met and that there is demand. And with that, we see similarly to in education and in formerly the automotive industry.
I know that this graph is ridiculous. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to say before we continue from this point, just all remember that immigration plays a large part in the United States education as well, because the more people you bring in that have low IQ medians, the lower your curriculums are going to be. It's going to be catered to the lowest common denominator.
I don't want to do the borders argument again.
No Child Left Behind is definitely not a great thing for our education system, and incorporating both a No Child Left Behind system and purposefully taking in people who are not going to be as able to learn quickly it's shooting us in the foot.
Yeah. Okay, good. So you're aware of that. That's good.
We can get back to healthcare, but we're kind of on an education binge. I'd like to kind of keep going with this, to be honest.
I don't have any issues with, since we've talked about immigration before and our feelings on borders, I feel like it'd be appropriate for me to go. I don't think there's anything wrong with quote unquote importing mentally deficient people. I do think it is wrong, however, to force higher functioning people to learn at
their level,
the mentally incapacitated level. It's unfair, it's unjust, and it's idiotic.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we solve that problem then, right? Do we have to just spend more money? Isn't that kind of the only way? Because we'd have to make more classes that will be better suited to those people.
Well, I wanted to talk about.
May I offer something?
Can't lower everyone else's.
Sorry, just have to say one thing about this.
Just spit it out.
Where is that? When talking about education, you need to consider how it's going to help them in life. Depending on the disability, how much are they actually going to use what they've learned? like, what jobs are available to them? Like, it's an unfortunate reality, and it sucks, but like, it's true.
What, third worlders that have low intelligence, or
what? No, just like no. What? I thought we were talking about the special kids.
well, immigrate and special kids.
No, we're just talking about people with genuinely lower IQs.
We're talking about people that come
Generally,
into the country. Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of spaced out for a moment.
Apparently.
You're all good.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not the special needs? I'm kidding.
Not sure.
No, you're not.
You're gonna need to give him a couple minutes to get the joke, Mike.
Actually, it was a Scottish man, apparently, I believe.
What?
Who made penicillin?
The penicillin guy? Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Scotland.
Just wanted to finish that up. That chapter's closed. Anyways, back to education.
That's pretty funny, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
Everyone's just walling on.
You think the Scottish just have enough alcohol that they never wind up
True.
needing anything like that?
Actually,
their blood would just kill anything due to the high proof of it.
yeah.
Whatever, you get it.
The Scots are pretty happy with socialism, though, in the UK. That's kind of funny.
Well, saying the Scots are happy is just, that's logically fallacious. It's a faulty generalization.
Yeah, we're just speaking in general
Are
terms.
the Scots happy?
Generally.
I'm not trying to make like an actual claim. I'm just making kind of a layman's, how do you say it? Gesture, basically. Just a layman's gesture.
I was just making a joke. I didn't realize this would.
I'm basically making the obvious.
ill.
I'm basically making the obvious fact, like this is a fact, that in
I
Scotland,
want people to die because of privatized healthcare.
In Scotland, socialism is largely favored and liked.
Accepted.
That's the claim, which is true. That is absolutely true.
I'm getting
The
that.
claim that it's Scots inherently that like it, no. But in Scotland, yes, it is very, very approved
By
the Scots themselves. They vote for it.
Well, the voting population is not the same as the population, so I would be skeptical of the statement that because the people voted for it, that it is popular with people. For example, Donald Trump got voted into the seat of president in the United States. That does not mean he's popular.
He lost the popular vote.
This is really semantical, but how about I just say the region of Scotland? How about that?
I'm not talking about whether I'm not.
None of this matters.
I'm acknowledging the
On a
national.
general, it's all specifics and semantics. For the most part, and generally, people like socialism in Scotland more so than in other places. I think is the only
How
claim.
did we get that? Weren't we just talking about education?
We were. I wanted to talk about something with education.
And before that, we were talking about healthcare. So,
we were. Well, this is the nature of the the flow of thought. So, it's
right.
fine.
Bunch of young adults thinking that anyone gives a shit about our philosophies.
Yeah, or opinions. Which they don't.
I couldn't care less what people think. I just
no. People care, but only if they're against you.
Yeah, true.
Well, the thing with social versus.
Anyways, let's get back on topic.
Well, I mean, for the most part, otherwise there would just be a virtue signal, so it doesn't really matter anyways.
We're just kind of convinced the people around us, friends, family, close relations, that kind of thing.
Like, for instance, if you post something someone agrees with, they're going to like it. That's it. They're going to maybe give you a like, or maybe just kind of be like, hey,
is this that Facebook ping? Are people still doing that?
Oh, of course. Well, I'm speaking in Facebook terms, I suppose, but I just mean in general even. Like, if you say something someone agrees with, they're going to be like, yeah. If you say something someone doesn't agree with, they're going to tell you. Most typically, or get really quiet.
And they're gonna post on your post for what? 3 days straight?
3 days, yeah. While it's working. It's probably one of the best arguments I've ever had. Just in the sense of like how entertaining it was for me.
Well, he deleted you.
Yeah, he removed me, which is not the first time that's happened, but this person got very mad. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, apparently over
nothing, and I was trying to be civil.
Well, the second night he was doing nothing but complaining. He was doing nothing but complaining in the party.
Yeah,
like to board. Nothing but complaining about it. Like, the whole night.
He's obsessive.
What are we talking about?
Don't worry about it, Kyle.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I don't need to explain myself.
We could actually analyze this particular person pretty easily. He's just very insecure about
I mean, I think
I
think
thought
it
we
just
were talking
bleeds.
about social issues, not some like fucking
Well, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
whiner
Anyways,
on Facebook.
I wanted to talk about
The argument was about privatized versus social.
Yeah, that's why
Kinda
it is. It is.
There you
relevant to
go.
this
Okay,
discussion,
then let's talk about that. And not.
Well, we
this
were.
whiner on
Anyways, I
Facebook.
wanted.
I was
to
going
talk,
to.
I wanted to talk about what do you guys feel would be the best subjects to be taught in school primarily? Because like right now, typically in North America.
Economics.
Shut up!
How to
finish my
How to put a tie on
statement.
properly.
Yeah, how to put a tie on properly, Kyle.
I think logic is the most important subject.
Yes. Okay. So, but I wanted to speak in terms of like right now, English is like the 4-year course, the main course that you're taught all the way through high school and public school, right?
Sure.
Right. And I wanted to say because I don't think that's good. What the fuck does English teach you? Like very little reading skills and like language.
yeah.
If people actually
And for the most
respected
part-
the language, maybe we wouldn't have so
Yeah,
many people
these things are good,
actually
but
not
what's-
speaking English properly.
What's more important? Would you say like English or philosophy?
It's just that's the result of us not having.
I don't think
private.
either are
Wait,
valuable
wait.
in terms of being
Yeah,
a class.
thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
for one
in terms
thing-
of like the working place as things to know, for the most part, philosophy is useless. In terms of like
Yeah.
how to formulate ideas, how to formulate arguments, how to have reasonable and like proper discourse with people without becoming violent.
Toby,
philosophy
you're forgetting
is
that
really
people
important.
don't actually pay attention in school.
Yeah,
Like,
but
if
I mean,
I
if you're
may
gonna drill things
interject
into
here.
people's head, I would prefer it.
It
be
depends how you
philosophy.
treat the kids. If you treat
True.
the kids like they're, one of the herd, the sheep, then they generally don't seem to be.
Because philosophy isn't
If
what
I,
you
if
think
I
it's
may
how to think.
interject, the school system is not functional for a plethora of reasons, but assuming that we're talking about a utopian functional school system, note that I put those two things together, that actually can meet its ends, then I would have to say that more, if we're talking elementary and primary, then mathematics and English or whatever language we're talking about is crucial. But after that point, the most valuable things a student could learn are self-driving, economics, and logic. Most importantly, there being logic, because more than anything, it is important for students and people in general to be able to rationalize and point out logical fallacies.
Well, logical
make
fallacies are a part of
honest
philosophy.
arguments,
That's
because
why I specified philosophy.
you need to be able to, outside of philosophy too, being able to read something and then analyze whether or not it could or could not be true based upon
philosophy.
the logical nature of what is being stated.
But that is philosophy.
So how would you teach?
Well, logic also
Logic
applies
is-
to mathematics.
Yes.
Yeah,
Logic
exactly.
is the
So-
subject that's
Philosophy-
usually taught from a mathematics
Philosophy applies to a lot
standpoint.
of subjects, actually. Philosophy
Yeah, so,
applies to
like,
a lot.
But when you say
So you wanna know-
philosophy in that
philosophy
context, you're giving the impression that you're
I'm not just
speaking
saying
about,
like metaphysics. I'm talking like politics, arguments,
Well,
debates.
You know where you can put philosophy then?
What you
know
mean,
where you can put
Toby,
it?
is teaching people thinking.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
philosophy.
exactly. So you can.
That's
put
literally
that'll
what
be the
philosophy
overarching-
People
is.
thinking.
Yes, you can.
No, listen.
No,
Listen, that'll be
You 100% can.
guys. That would be the overarching background principles behind all courses.
Yeah,
Reason and
if
evidence.
the logic to philosophy would be biology to science,
Right.
if that makes
I'd
sense.
still say economics is the most important
work-
thing. Not
work-
only
work.
is it the most likely one that people will actually pay attention to and understand why they
Yeah,
need,
John, go ahead.
it's also, I feel, an education in economics would be the backbone of any functional,
Yeah.
long-runningly functional capitalist society.
Work ethic is good too.
Because that's what I feel is like how we can. Well, work ethic is taught by like working a shitty job.
Yeah, but it can also be taught at school.
Mm.
There are ways.
They,
You know, for
okay,
instance-
so work ethic taught in school is basically what homework is supposed to teach you.
Assignments, though, we should just do away with homework and have purely based on assignments and tests, and that would develop a work ethic. I actually have more tests in school, I would say, because men do really well with tests. Aside from women, women are not as good at dealing with many tests, but men do. Men are really good at hard facts, right? Women are really good at doing assignments. That's why
When
our
did this-
education
when did
is
this
based
become-
on. Our education is based on.
It's not about
the
when it
woman's
becomes
learning
something.
curve.
It's the train of thought, Kyle. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, quit cutting me off. Education.
Cutting you off from your cocaine, Mike. This has become a serious addiction, and I want to help you because I love you.
I thought you said mysterious addiction instead of serious addiction. Wow, this is a mysterious addiction.
Some fucking
Who keeps giving Michael cocaine?
Yeah, I wonder.
Fucking.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. You derailing pieces of garbage.
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, red herring arguments.
We all recognize.
Red herring arguments are
Can we
valid,
all
Michael. Haven't our friends told us anything?
No, can we all agree though that education right now is catered towards women's learning style? Like we all know that, right?
No.
We don't know that. We don't know.
I do know that.
I wouldn't agree.
I would say that everyone needs to look that up immediately because yes,
women statistically are better at doing like
assignments. For example.
Yeah, like projects and stuff, whereas men don't really have the patience for those kinds of things, and men perform better at tests.
May I counterpoint you? May I counterpoint you?
Which is more like what's being.
If you are in anything, Michael, if you are in anything beyond a minimum wage job, if you're in anything beyond a labor job, like if you're in a corporate job, it's going to be assignment based. It's not like you're going to wake up every day and do the same thing.
Not every
job. You're going to be handed assignments, and
That's
you're
not
going
every
to be
job.
expected to complete them.
That's not even remotely close to the kind of job I have.
Yeah, I know, because you're not working a corporate job.
Duh. Do you know
exactly.
what percentage of people work corporate jobs, Kyle?
I don't know, but do you really need to?
No. Give me like a rough estimate, even. Give me what you think. What percentage of people work corporate jobs? 70%.
I wouldn't go 70.
Well, because about 40% of the United States workforce, in the white market anyways, is public sector. Depending on your definition, any public sector job could be considered corporate. So
we're talking about jobs that will require assignments.
I was talking about office jobs.
Yeah, office jobs.
If you're speaking specifically office work in the United States, I would have to say at least 12%, but I wouldn't know how many people are actually working office jobs.
Okay, and to add to that, do you really need to be taught how to do proper labor, or is your first real job not going to teach you that already?
Well, I don't believe that school should be catered
if you're going
personally.
to actually need and use your education.
Well, I'm not even
shouldn't
specifically
you know how
referring
to handle
to
an assignment-based environment.
I do not believe that schools should be catered to teaching people how to work.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
schools shouldn't be about teaching you how to do anything. It should be teaching you how to do things in your own. That's why you go to school to do English, so you can learn how to read, so you can teach yourself.
Yeah.
Well, no,
yeah, so you go to school to study mathematical logic, so you can break apart arguments and break apart, theories and understand why they function or don't function. You should study things like basic science and nutrition. But I don't think things like, learning how to become a good, happy worker is what education is. That's teaching people to be drones, and that's not good.
That's not what I was talking about, though. I was defending the assignment-based work thing and giving a valid reason for it other than it's catering towards women.
Okay, so
that was my thing. I agree with everything you just said, by the way.
Apparently the rough estimate of labor jobs versus non-labor positions is about 75% to 25% in favor of labor positions. And then of that 25% of non-labor positions, those include things like cashiers and like fucking McDonald's employees, even things like that. So I'm assuming that desk jobs, quote unquote, and assignment-based work is a fairly low percentage.
True, but if you're going to be using your education for anything, actually, because let's face it, none of those labor jobs, your education isn't matter. So unless
it actually kind of does.
Trades are
yeah, engineering, dude. So, is engineering assignment based?
No.
Kind of.
No, sort of, but at the same time,
depends on what the
project based.
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances. No, a lot of times, yeah, go for it.
I'll give you an example of how education is catered towards girls and more so than boys. Here's an example right here. So when, for example, in English at the primary school level, children are read to where the teachers read to the children, emphasizing on the characters and feelings of the novels. Where boys tend to prefer to read nonfiction such as history and adventure books, and see if they're taught at home, and the parents are more likely to let them follow their interests. While at school, it is always specifically the feelings and the characters of the novels.
Okay, while that might be true, I don't really know about those tendencies in males, females. I fucking love romantic fiction, so.
I do not. I hate it with a passion.
Did you when you were primary school level? Did you?
When I was in primary school level, I hated reading at all. So.
Yeah,
right.
Probably like most
Michael,
boys.
I think you're vastly overestimating.
No, we can't go into anecdotal. We can't. No, I don't want to go into anecdotal.
Yeah, don't go into anecdotes.
Okay, so I'm just telling you from this article, and it cites studies making these claims that boys tend to go towards nonfiction and girls tend to go towards the more character-based novels within feelings. And I can honestly believe that, and absolutely the teachers focus on that.
My thing is that I don't know whether or not education is catered towards a particular gender or not, but I know that education is institutionalized, and that in its own is a massive issue.
Yeah, let's focus on that.
Agreed.
Socializing education is a massive, I guess, not massive, it's not really quantifiable, but it's a very crucial issue in the sense of, moralism and, perfect society and all that shit. Because the thing about institutionalizing education is that there's this implication that people need to learn the same things, that information is valuable to this, to everyone in the same respect. I mean, education and knowledge and experience is capital. And capital is valuable to different people for different reasons in different respects. I mean, for example, $1 is worth something different to me than it is to you, even though we're looking at the same thing and it has the same utilities in the general sense. It has a different value between you and I. The same is true of any kind of knowledge. So, for example, drafting is going to be incredibly important to an engineer. To me, it's not going to be. Studying phonetics and studying the way language falls together is going to be incredibly important to me because I'm a musician and I'm a writer. I need to understand those things very well and deeply and without having to really hard think on them when I'm writing. Whereas an engineer doesn't give a flying fuck about how pretty what they write sounds. It needs to be clear and, understandable in layman. So looking at education, right, the idea of an institutionalization of education is going to be impractical. It's going to be less functionable than going on the individual level, and it's unethical, I'd say, because it's stealing from people the opportunity to make more of themselves. It's breaking windows.
Well, I do.
Rue is here, by the way. I don't know if anyone knew that.
Yeah,
Also,
I noticed.
Okay, but no, he is. Because he doesn't talk with voice, right? He types. So he wrote, if you can figure out how the game to the current education system, if you can figure out the game to the current education system, you can become a straight A student like myself. And then he said to Michael that I am a Shota boy and I prefer fiction.
God damn it,
I love Rue. Yeah.
Hey, look, if we're going to be, like I said, if we're going to be anecdotal, no, don't cut me off. If we're going to be anecdotal, I could just say that when I was a kid, I really enjoyed adventure novels. It's all I really did read was adventure stories. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and what I was going to say was, damn it, now I'm forgetting.
Now I'm triggered.
By the way, that was the majority of Tyler's. That was Tyler's arguments completely.
Yes, anecdotal. It was completely anecdotal. I think he even said his opinions were anecdotal, but it was like
yes,
it was still valid. Are we
talking about that?
Yeah, I don't know why Mike keeps bringing it up.
Michael, wait until after the podcast. God damn
it. Yeah. These things aren't relevant to anyone listening.
Okay. People aren't necessarily.
I argued with someone on the internet. It's super important.
Who else is gonna even listen to this, Kyle? No one's listening to us.
There's a few people, a few of John's friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, and why do they need to fucking hear about Toby's
and I think the people,
actually, I think they think it's funny. They probably think it's funny.
It is kind of funny. I think it's more funny that
you keep bringing it up.
Huh?
They aren't us.
True.
of course.
It's us versus them.
There's 0 people listening to this.
I think one person is subscribed to our channel.
That's pretty alright. That's
Holy shit,
fine.
really?
Oh, wow. Number 1 subscriber.
Yeah, one person that isn't me liked the first video.
Hey, listen. Whoever you are watching this, I just want to know. I want you to know that you're pretty alright in my books.
Yeah, you're special.
I probably do homoerotic things, baby.
Yeah, you were very
I wanted more shit posting in this podcast.
Okay,
to be honest.
so
Well, in that case, should I start?
No.
naming- You want some shit
Gindray.
posting, but not Kyle levels of shit posting.
I don't want
You know,
fucking.
It's hard to talk about healthcare with each other because we're all relatively on the same page.
Right, to the most
Gindray.
part. Yeah, what's up?
you are
How dare you?
to an extent minarchist. You're a libertarian, right? In a loose understanding of that.
I am more. I'm more
use of that word.
minarchist than libertarian, to be honest.
So, do you believe in the promotion of life, liberty, and property, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, if a person has the entitlement or the right to life,
Mm-hmm.
do you believe that a person is entitled to health care in even a minor form?
No.
Say, no?
No, I don't believe healthcare is a right. I believe it's a service.
Okay.
I think the
That's
only
fair.
right that any human being is born with is the right to defend their own. That's it. Defend what is theirs. That is it.
I believe rights are a social.
What if they lack
construct,
that
but we live
what
in
if they lack that
society, so
capability?
whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they
you
have the
say a
right to
person is only
try.
entitled
That's
to the
it.
right to the-
That they have the only right that person, a human being, is entitled to when they are born, like inalienable right, like the right of them being born, is to do whatever it takes in their power to defend their own, and that's it.
So you believe?
Yes, I believe that is the only right, the only human right, the only inalienable right that we are born with, not that is given to us.
Yeah.
No,
I believe that we just have the
understanding-
rights of the wild, the same rights of the jungle.
I
Which is to
suppose.
say-
understanding that you are a minarchist, right? You do advocate a government, right? Which means that you do believe that there's, to some extent, ententitlements which,
I believe
there
that there
are
is
positive rights
use
there.
of the government.
And so
I believe that the government can be
I'm-
used for good.
Right. Well, and with the government being an entity of good, right, then you would believe that it is the positive right of people to utilize it, right? So I'm wondering, what function specifically does this government perform besides just quote unquote national defense? Because that you can't defend a populace that's dead, right? So
I believe
what
government funding for
function
military infrastructure and
isn't healthcare a form of infrastructure? I mean, infrastructure
no, I don't believe in
is-
that. The only infrastructure I really believe in is my roads. That's it.
Okay. So
You're welcome
that's
for
very
calling it my
specific.
roads, by the way.
Borders. Perhaps borders.
Yeah, borders, private parks as well. Like protecting like Algonquin and things like that from people just being able to go and build on it. I agree to that to an extent because I'd like there to be a place that I could go visit, and that's a privilege. That's what that is. It's a privilege. And technically it is to a degree immoral, and I don't fully agree with it, but I would like that. I do think that that's okay. I do agree with
And representation, fairly much.
yeah,
of other-
representation of different countries, like Edward Snowden, right? Fucking being able to just kind of like be like, oh well, my government hates me. I'm gonna go somewhere else where they don't hate me, and where there's different laws, there's different opinions, different ideas. I believe that on the world
Ideas
stage is
are
important.
bulletproof.
I believe in multiculturalism in a weird way. I believe in multiculturalism in the sense that I believe that
Multi-ideas or no?
yeah, like a bunch of different areas, like different countries that represent different ideals and different systems and different a different way of doing things. And if you don't like the way that your country is doing things, then you have somewhere you can go that is better suited to you and your ideals.
Now,
and I believe
what
in
if? Now, humor me here.
Mhm.
What if you have an issue with being subjugated to governing authorities? Where
Yes.
do you go?
right for
What
anarchists?
government
Yeah.
are you going?
I suppose Antarctica is true. It's pretty cold though, not really inhabitable. But I mean, no, I agree with you. There should be a place that is incredibly limited to no government, and I wish that existed on the world stage. I really do wish that was a case. That was the case. That there was like an anarcho-capitalist society. But unfortunately, with the way that government works and the kind of background process of totalitarianism that is inherent in all government, that I don't think is something that's going to exist because of that. And it's not that I don't think that anarcho-capitalism could work on its own. I don't think government will allow that. I think government will always inevitably make that not exist.
I would absolutely agree that governments will always resist anarchism.
Yes.
Might I
think they're going to succeed too. I don't think anarcho-capitalism could ever succeed just because I believe that evil is always present and will never allow it.
Mind if I say something on this matter?
Go ahead.
Basically, the way I see the whole anarchy thing, I used to be really into the idea of anarchy, but more and more, do you honestly think the average modern person is capable of handling themselves in an anarchy, where all the responsibility of the nation is divided amongst the people?
No.
Well, there's no nation in anarchy.
Okay, I have a couple things I'd like to say.
There is a nation. It's an anarchy. Like, anarchy just means no rulers.
There's something I'd like to say in address to that. One, on definition, that wouldn't be a nation. Even though it would be similar in the respect of being, you'd be able to look at it on a map and go, okay, this is the area for which these anarchists are.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a nation by definition. More similarly, I suppose you could call it a tribe, but
everyone's just kind of going to be living on their property in their house, and that's basically going to be the thing. Yeah.
It'll be like
responsibility would not fall onto the individuals, on every single respective individual.
They don't have the responsibility.
You look at the macro, and the thing that I've noticed a lot of people in talking about anarchism seem to forget is that charities will still exist. Other people are still going to be doing things. Specialization is still going to occur. Demand is still going to be being met by suppliers that already exist. A lot of this macro is going to be going around without you having to think about it. People have this ignorant
opinion of anarchy. I mean, most every anarchist knows this. We're not explaining anything new, but and everyone I know who has this opinion of anarchy, they hear anarchy and they go like, you just want everything to be destroyed. You want to go to the woods. It's like, what, are you fucking retarded? No, I want to live with my internet still and have my house still. But none of that is involved with the government. The government not existing isn't going to take my house away. That's not how that works. In fact, it'll give me my house if the government doesn't exist.
No, just some road bandits.
It means I'll own my place. Yeah.
No, some road bandits.
I was more or less.
Well, police will still exist too. They'll just be there might be more prone to corruption. Yes,
there's no police.
They're private.
That's not
private police. Yes, sheriffs and deputies.
Yeah, those are called security guards. Those are called security guards.
Basically, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not police. They don't just help anyone.
Okay, now I had something I was going to
say. They ask their employer about that stuff. You can't claim that they're just going to help anyone. No, it's not the case.
Yeah, true, of course.
Not like a public police force.
Okay, I'd like to say two things. One, police and security are not the same thing, private or for the greater good. Police is a term used to describe regulating the actions of other people, whereas security, in that context, is a term it's a term to describe a person whose primary job is to defend people.
Right.
So, for example, a public voluntary security force would look like neighborhood watch. People going out, spending their time just to make sure other people aren't getting hurt, whereas police are regulating the actions of other people. The two aren't similar.
To bring up the original, to go back to the root word for policeman, it basically, it goes back to medieval Latin, and it's politia or whatever. Basically,
policia?
Roughly, yeah. Well, no, it's got a T in it. But anyways, it comes down to man of the city, kind of.
Yes, it's the same root that the word politic comes from, which is depending on how you want to bastardize the term, it can both refer to truth, which is where the term politic comes from. It's the truth of the man of the city. It's the way of describing the systems that, or you have police, which are the men who, I guess, act on this truth, the people that make these things happen. And
like to make you
having that regulating force cannot happen in an anarchist society. It's mutually exclusive. If we're talking about an anarchist society, it would be resisted. And having a
public police force,
greater, having a voluntary security force for the greater good, however, is entirely different in its nature. And I'm sure that would happen because of mutual interest. There is an incentive for me to want to defend my neighbor. One, because I empathize, and two, because if they know that I will defend them, they're more likely to want to defend me. And so in turn, I now have somebody helping me out when I can't. And
moral of the story, everyone needs
going to
guns.
do this. I'm not assuming that everyone in the world is super nice and going to try to help me out. But to ignore the fact that people have a natural tendency to want to help other people and have natural tendency to be
interested in ourselves from last podcast, to be honest.
Well, that's not necessarily true around the world. A lot of people are just in it for themselves around the world, honestly. You have to instill those
and said people tend to kill each other in droves to the point where they need
exactly my point. Exactly my point, which is why I still have a problem with anarcho-society, because if you have open borders, these people will be coming in, and, well, you're definitely...
Anarchism isn't about open borders.
It's about no borders.
Anarchism is about not having borders.
Right, so that's what I mean, no border control. People just come in.
That is open borders. Open borders
so I have a
means,
question for you.
No,
if I go around... Mike, I have a question for you specifically. If I go around walking through the streets, waving the flag of the National Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, the one from the 1930s, the late 1930s. If I go around waving that and talking about how I hate the Jews...
Which you should. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I just wanted to trigger. Keep going.
What I'm doing is obviously wrong. I'm advocating some pretty horrible things indirectly. However, would it be rightful to act in violence against me?
Obviously
Have I harmed anyone? No. Simply being here and disagreeing with you isn't a crime. And it has no victim. Now, to say that it's not my right to come into your neighborhood, right? I don't have the right to come here. Well,
it's not about a right not to come here, but if it's about...
I can easily dismantle that argument like in 5 seconds.
Yeah. All right,
do it, faggot.
I will.
All right.
I will. How do you know who these people are? How do you know if they have criminal records or not from other countries?
Okay.
Two things. They have documented crimes that they've committed.
Why the fuck do I care about their criminal record if I'm an anarchist? Crime is arbitrary.
It means that they have a natural they have a tendency towards violating the NAP. That's why.
Okay, and
you should be concerned with that. You should be able to see that coming.
I absolutely agree. I should be concerned. But more importantly, number two, how is it my personal right to violate?
Again, I don't believe there is no right to. I believe there's a right to defend yourself.
Specifically, the right you are specifically noting, the NAP. How is it my right to violate the rights of another person based on my fears?
Okay, let's say a pedophile moves out of jail.
Understand how are you violating the rights of anyone when there's no borders to begin with?
You said you're talking about how we should have a border, how we should be able to regulate who comes in and out of, in this example of a society, my neighborhood, right? I should be able to control who comes in and out. How is it my right, based on my opinions and my speculations and fears, rather than actual literal action, how is it my right to force another person to stay out of my neighborhood?
What right does the honey badger have to keep people out of its territory?
Oh my goodness, Kyle, because it's not my opinion or my conjecture. It's me looking at the papers that they bring with them to see what their records are.
Okay, but their records,
so I make an evidence.
Having a record on its own is not a crime and has no victim.
This is when I sacrifice.
In the past,
this is when I sacrifice philosophical consistency for pragmatism.
Are we going to just is an anarcho society based on evidence and reason or not? Should be, right? Typically.
Any society should be based on.
Is there an underlying philosophy of reason and evidence? Well, if there is, then how can you ignore possible evidence? How can you ignore that?
I'm not saying to ignore it. I'm saying, how is it your personal right to violate the rights of other people based on your speculation?
Again, it's not his right to come here either. It isn't his right to move wherever the fuck he wants.
Yes, it is not his right to come into my neighborhood either, by the way.
It is not my right to stop him, but it is not his right to move here.
I never made the claim that it was my right to begin with, that to stop this person. I'm saying based on security of the neighborhood, because there's going to be town watches or whatever you said.
It is not anybody's right to live wherever the fuck.
Isn't it within my rights as one of those town watchmen to find out who these new people are coming in? It is the right of the security of the people. I am the town watch.
I don't believe that's an entitlement any of those
If I might
bring up my point of view. It's the best thing we have. How else am I going to know who these people are? Am I going to trust them? Am I going to trust them?
Mayor was speaking. What were you going to say?
If I might bring up my point of view on this, just to take us away from the whole border issue for 1 second.
We should wrap back up into healthcare, because we are 50 minutes deep as well.
Okay,
so if you want to just trail us back in.
Fine, then I'll just say why I don't think the whole anarchy system works.
Because this is us repeating ourselves from last time.
3 people in a Discord, most of which kind of agree with that anarchy, that government is bad, with completely different ideas on how anarchy would work.
Yes.
That's strike 1. Strike 2, when I was talking earlier about how I don't think anarchy would work because of the people who would need to support it, I was more or less referring to the fact that everyone, no one wants to donate or anything. It's all the government will fix it. That is the common mentality. They always complain to the government.
I may reduce that claim real quick.
Self-reliance
when Planned Parenthood was getting threatened that they weren't going to be getting funding anymore, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I believe somewhere around 20,000 contributors donated more than $2 million in funds to Planned Parenthood, which proved to everyone it doesn't matter that.
That's because it's a hot topic. That's the only reason.
True. Yeah, what I was trying to argue. Okay, I'm going to back down on the charity point then, because again, we're trying to wrap up the anarchy point so we can get back.
I want Mayor let stop for 1 sec. I want to. I'm gonna give John the last word on this, but I want to keep it concise, and then let's move back into medical talk for a little bit, and maybe education or whatever, and have some wrap up points and jokes and whatever. Finish up here.
Memes are the DNA of the soul.
Memes are the DNA of the soul. Actually, we have a Rusky coming too, so he's gonna be a little.
Mike.
Mayor's point was just that people are inherently lazy, is what Kyle was basically saying.
Yeah.
Not inherently lazy, just currently lazy.
I want to give.
I would agree that a lot of people are, but I don't think as a generality, people are unwilling to contribute things. It has a lot to do with the bystander effect.
That's why I backed down. That's why I backed down on the charity point before I got.
Okay.
Hey John, do me a favor. Can you
understand where you're coming from too.
Can you bring it into healthcare?
Sure. So with healthcare, and using some similar points, I believe that healthcare is entirely possible with a private system. And I'm not talking about having the corporations. I don't give a fuck about that. But I believe that it is entirely possible for private practitioners to run a functional healthcare system. Oh, yeah. My old doctor, right? I know would be absolutely willing to do the surgery on my foot that I've needed.
Yeah.
That I've needed on my foot for a long time. If I did yard work for her, because she needs that because her husband passed away, and there's a lot of work that just can't be done around there because she doesn't have the time or energy. What with working all the time, and now that her kids are out, I could help her out and she can help me out. But there's so many regulations in the way, and even if I sign a waiver, it doesn't matter. Repetitively, people have sued healthcare practitioners on things they've signed waivers for and won. And with the way that the healthcare industry works, it's disgusting trying to get anything done. Looking at insurance and its effects in the healthcare industry, it's impossible for poor people without government quote-unquote assistance to get proper healthcare. Whereas in the old days, and I'm not saying the old days are great and should be romanticized, I'm trying to...
Economics.
There's...
Economically speaking, it's all logically congruent, so it's still a good argument.
If I got a serious leg injury and I'm lower middle class, people all around would help me. We would pool our money together so that way when something big happened, I could draw out for a $3,000 surgery on my leg, and then I would continue to contribute to the pool. And so insurance, in the classical sense, was people pooling together their resources like this So that way when something big came up, they could do something about it. And insurance in the healthcare industry has been bastardized so that now people are using it for regular maintenance health issues. And that's not what insurance was ever intended for. That defeats the purpose of insurance. If it's regular maintenance costs, right, then it would make more sense for me to just do it out of pocket. If I say am contributing $40 a month into a pool and I have a $30 maintenance cost, then it wouldn't make sense to put money into the pool and then pull it back out, because now I'm just wasting time doing that, which time in essence is money. I've wasted resources. Whereas if we're talking about I'm poor, I only make say $50 a month and I contribute $30 to this pool, and then after a while I need $400 for surgery, normally that would be, you know, droves more than I actually am able to make or pay on. But because of all this that I've been putting aside into this pool, right, it's possible for me to take back. And this can be done on an individual level or on a social level. I can pool into savings and get the same effect. It's possible to do these things in a private system because there's no extent to where I am obligated to pay outwards or even get healthcare. And healthcare is going to be cheaper when it is private because of competition, because of the ability for for individuals to compete with their own businesses they work for businesses to compete, for people to enter as businesses into the market, and for new innovations to be able to come out readily without having to worry about being shut down by the government. Whether or not they're effective, more and more things will be coming out in that respect. And so healthcare, I believe, would be infinitely more effective if it were private.
Completely
not
private
because
too.
of socialism, not because of social versus individualism, but because of pure economics.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah, the free market argument. Yeah,
the free market.
It's a great argument.
The free market does a better job at this than putting it into a socialized system. And that was the other thing.
People in our
that was the
that.
Yeah. Can we stop bringing it up? It's like the 8th time now. But freaking okay, so. I made a couple arguments with a few people, different people, having this conversation, and one of the ones that I really liked was we talked about, it's if you have a socialized system, you're going to have kind of like one hospital in a town, and everyone's going to be subsidized by the government. There's going to be a limited number of hospital jobs, and they're going to be paid fairly poorly, like not nearly as well. So what happens in Canada? Doctors typically move to the States, right? Because they're going to get paid better there. If you have a private system, someone's going to open up a hospital across the road from you and try to compete with your prices, right? Which we all already know this. This is obvious. These things are going to happen. They're going to be able to make more money if they have a better solution to this. And they're going to drive that person out. And not only that, that means that there are jobs at both of these places available for doctors and like nurses and clerk work and, medical cleaning shit and like all this shit. And, I just think the idea is absurd that it's like people are going to have less access to healthcare because you have a private system. Well, it's like it's actually the opposite. More people are going to have access to healthcare because you have a private system. You're not going to have 6-hour waiting times.
I would definitely be willing to debate that the quality of healthcare for specific people might decrease. I would be willing to debate that.
Maybe, yeah.
But talking about the availability of healthcare in general in a public versus private system, the only time I would ever be willing to hear the argument that healthcare would be more readily available where the industry has been forcefully socialized would be looking at incredibly poor countries that are being massively subsidized by an outside source. For example, if we were talking about how people always talk about Syria, right? With they're being droned, they're being bombed, and we have things like hospitals without borders, but they're being driven out. So I would be willing to have this discussion there. Greece, not even. Yeah, but I would be willing to hear. Greece would be better off if they stopped trying to fucking subsidize and socialize everything. So I would be willing to hear the discussion. I would be willing to hear the discussion about Syria if we were talking about pouring money into there to try to make a social system as a temporary solution to a massive problem they're having.
I agree.
But
that's not
I still believe that it would work better if it was done on a as a private investment as a sort of greater good thing. But I would be willing to hear the argument that it might be possible that, socializing that industry forcefully using the government may have positive benefits in terms of availability of healthcare, because it's virtually inexistent.
The only reason I would disagree with you in terms of Syria, and I get why you're saying this, and this argument has nothing to do with your argument, honestly, but I was gonna say, in Syria, it's kind of the government's fault right now, so giving them something that's gonna make them money, like a socialized healthcare service, probably isn't the best idea.
It's Syria's government.
Oh, I would definitely agree with you there.
Yeah.
It's
but
the government's
semantic. That's a semantic thing.
Yeah, don't even trigger me there. No, it's not the Syrian government's fault. What are you talking about?
Why?
It was disabled. They were destabilized from outside government.
Shit.
There's a proxy war going on right now in Syria. Okay,
but
forget it.
My point there was just that I would be willing to hear the argument because of the low standard of living and because of the introduction of an outside source to contribute capital. Because, in talking about these kinds of issues, you need infrastructure and capital to produce so that way you can meet demand, right? And if the demand is healthcare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to produce healthcare solutions, which means you need infrastructure like hospitals, and you need capital like medicine, and you need human capital, you need labor, so I would be willing to hear the argument that, in certain very particular circumstances, talking about very particular demographics, it is possible that government could actually help with availability. However, in the general sense, talking about the world, no.
I agree. The other thing I wanted to bring up, because we didn't really get to talk about it, is that a lot of times when people think about socialized healthcare or private healthcare, they kind of think a lot about hospitals, but they never really think about like family doctors, which is also really important to a private system, because family doctors are typically
clinics. They don't think about clinics.
Yeah, exactly. Which those things are typically way less expensive than hospitals.
They also don't think about things like medicine men or midwives or home nurses,
dental,
or food companies that make medicine in food. That's a pretty common thing, especially for like epileptics and things like that. There's a lot of foods that contain particular ingredients, or like, you have antibodies in food to help, build an immune system, to help. There are lots of products like that too. And those things are very frequently ignored when talking about healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dental's private.
Yep. The other thing a lot of people don't also recognize is that a lot of work placements have coverage for these kinds of things.
Yep.
And that if you don't like your situation, perhaps getting a better job is a valid solution.
You don't want to say that. You don't want to say that.
Yeah, when you say that, people are like, what do you mean get a fucking job? What do you mean get a better job? My job's great. Fucking McDonald's should have a livable wage. Fucking stupid.
$15 an hour.
Oh my God.
Minimum wage should be livable. Minimum wage should be a livable wage. What do you mean minimum wage should be a fucking livable wage? Are you kidding me, straw man? I've made up the purposes for this argument.
In regard to that,
it is livable. I was living off of $700 a month. Well, not
but not with 2 kids, Kyle.
If you
that argument, the livable wage and we ought to blah blah blah. That's the if ought fallacy.
Yeah,
the idea that something, because something ought to be, it is.
That's idealism.
That is ignorant.
Yeah, it's idealism.
Yeah, like anarchism.
Oh. Must you always trigger?
No, see,
all right, and that's our time up, isn't it?
No, we're running it.
No. He made up his mind.
That is why condoms are crucial. Fuck kids is what fucking Rue said in the chat. Yeah, Mike is that person. And also, we're not gonna wrap it up yet because there's a good chance someone.
I will always, to the day I die, have a problem with borders because I don't trust people as well as John does. I don't trust people at all.
I don't trust people either. I think people do.
I think people, because you're offering them a lot of rights for some reason.
Mike,
I'm not offering them rights.
We did this
I'm not
last.
offering them anything. I'm refusing to take from them what isn't mine.
Yeah, but you're also giving them the right to enter into your community. That's
No,
giving
no.
them a right.
Yeah, but Michael,
I don't have
you can deny them the
the
right
right.
to enter your property, and that's where
See, you're speaking of negative
not your
rights.
property.
That sounds kind of.
And it is not your negative right to deny other people the ability to be in your neighborhood.
It is
Your
not their right
property?
to be in your
Sure.
neighborhood.
Well, hold on.
Why isn't it their right?
But if I'm watching my town, if I'm one of these watchmen, why not? I don't understand why I can't.
Because you do not have the right to take from other people who have not made you a victim. You don't have the right to defend yourself when you aren't being attacked.
But if you know there's a good chance
The
that you might be
idea-
attacked.
Like law, if this is just law enforcement 101, like we do background checks on people to find out. These
Okay,
things. We have
law
ways to find
enforcement has nothing to do with anarchism because we
I'm
are not
aware.
talking about the legal system.
I am aware. We're talking about violations of the non-aggression principle. I know that. But those
Now,
are
the
criminal
thing is-
acts in the definitions of what we're talking about. Those are considered criminal acts against the non-aggression principle. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase my rebuttal to your argument in this way. If I have a criminal record, okay, and
Specifically,
I want to
not when we say criminal record, by the way, we're not talking about you got arrested for having marijuana. We're talking about you got arrested for assaulting somebody.
Oh,
right?
I understand what you meant.
Criminal background and violence.
I have a criminal record for a federal assault charge.
In your worldview, if
in
someone
this
violates the
hypothetical-
NAP, what is the result of that? How would you deal
Okay,
with somebody?
I was going to answer your question.
I'm curious.
If you would let me.
Yes.
Let's just say the United States in this hypothetical has become anarchist and the rest of the world is exactly how it was, and everybody is well aware that invading would be a terrible idea because everybody's armed. Let's just go with that hypothetical.
Fucking Rue shitposting.
So then with that, I want to move to Georgia, and I specifically want to move outside of the Atlanta area. I come there, and then they start telling me that I can't. They being private individuals living in that area. How is it their right to tell me that I cannot come to a city? Because they are not owners of the city. Even if every single person in the city agrees, they don't own the city. They own parts of it, right? How is it their negative right to deprive me of the ability to come to a city based on something that had nothing to do with them?
You can't own property, man.
Do you believe that people are tribal inherently? Do you think that human beings have tribal genetics, or no?
Like tribal tendencies.
I don't
tendencies
understand what you mean.
He's asking if you think that humans naturally have a tendency to form tribes amongst themselves.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. So is another word
Humans
for tribe family? Is another word for tribe family?
No.
No? Why not?
Family is a term that describes like heredity and bloodline and direct relation.
Mm-hmm.
The term is bastardized very often, but tribe and family are not the same.
Yeah, but tribe is part of a family of a group of people. It is the same thing.
A family is similar to a tribe, but tribe is not the same as family.
Okay,
for example,
a family is not necessarily a tribe, but a tribe,
it's similar enough. Can we agree on that?
They're conceptually similar.
If someone attacks my tribe, right? Like I'm gonna, let's say my cousin, for example, or my third cousin, or for example. Like,
tribe is effectively as people you care about, and family effectively as people you care about.
Right? You don't have to care about your tribe as individuals, but you can care about your tribe as a collective.
You don't have to care about your family as individuals either. No one's forcing you, but chances are because they're part of your group, you're going to, right? That's the point.
What I mean by that is tribe is, for example, my tribal identity would be White Lake, right? When somebody asks me where I am from, I answer I am from Rothbury or Montague. That's my, I guess, tribal
Stephen Montague?
identity.
No, I'm just kidding.
So
yeah, but you don't have to worry about.
There is a natural instinct. There's a natural instinct in me to defend other people from Montague, to defend people from Rothbury, to defend people from Muskegon, because it's where I'm from, and I have that natural instinct to want to defend my tribe. I don't view them as my family. I don't give a shit about any of them as people. I really don't. But when it comes to instinct, I have a natural instinct to defend my tribe. So it's not really the same as family. It's more like when you are in a crowd, right? And somebody you hear someone cry for help, you have a natural instinct, whether or not you act on it, you have a natural instinct to go, oh shit, someone's in trouble, I should do something. And tribe is that idea that you have a people. You are part of, or at least loosely part of a collective, right? So, for example, it would make sense that, my real tribe is Muskegon's music scene. I am in that tribe. So I feel the natural urge to help other musicians, the natural urge to be inclusive towards them and to want to help and contribute, even though they're not my family, they're not my blood, and I don't even know all of them.
Can I bring up why now I said that?
Huh?
Like, can I bring up why I made the mention of tribal? Can I explain why?
Yeah.
Okay, the reason why I brought it up is because in our societies today, let's say, I'm from Aurelia, right? I could say that I have a tribal affiliation to Aurelia, but the point is that I don't, because Aurelia's an awful example, but the reason why I don't have that affiliation as strong as it could be is because they don't do anything for me, right? But in an anarchist society, communities will band together more so because they'll take care of themselves and their own, because there is no government to take care of them anymore. So the communities will take care of themselves, and that's what I mean by tribes. So if these communities become very much more tight knit, which I think they will as a result of this,
fair to say.
Plus one anarchy.
That's when you have the watch, right? Like the neighborhood watch or whatever. That's when the idea of doing a background check on people coming in seems just completely plausible to me, as in terms of the right to defend my own, defend my family, defend my...
I think what he's saying specifically is he wants to make sure, or he's saying, would it be effective and or reasonable to screen people coming into your community for the purposes of them being helpful to your community?
Well, I do think it's reasonable in the sense of, if I'm a realtor, I'm going to screen people. If I live in the town, it's my right to do that because I'm offering a thing with conditions. That's the same as any kind of other voluntary exchange where I expect money. Mm-hmm. But in the terms of just being a regular person and talking about commuting and coming through, it is not my right, whether or not I call myself a town guard or a shopkeeper, it is not my right to stand in the middle of the road in front of somebody's vehicle and prevent them literally
so you're saying
from coming into
but
my town.
what you're saying is, though, if you're a realtor and you own that property, it's your right to choose who you don't give that property to, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
And that's where,
is that answer sufficient for you?
That's my disagreement with borders. It is absolutely your right to not do voluntary exchange with people, even for really stupid fucking reasons.
Borders are not really an issue for me in a perfect anarchist society. Borders are not really an issue for me anyway, because
I don't even care if it's perfect or not. It's just not a person's negative right.
No, people aren't going to even care to come in to this particular area of the world where there is anarchy because there's nothing for them there. There's no freebies. There's no free benefits.
I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, you don't have welfare there, so... Yeah.
I do see the possibility of rogue bandits wandering around because why not? Because you can totally just do that if you want to. There's no
nothing stopping you except someone's gun. Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you except people's individual right to defend themselves, and that's whatever. Okay, so they're gonna take it then if they can. That's what I mean. If they're gonna take it, they will take it. That's
wow.
But
what do you mean they're gonna take it? Take what?
If they can get away from
take your resources,
take
whatever they want.
They can steal from you if they can get away with it.
Okay, one.
If they can get away with it, you're saying if they can get away with it, they're going to.
Yeah.
If you can get away with stuff in the current age, then you get away with it. That's not an argument.
Yes, except for the fact that it is harder because of forensics and because of criminal searching. Yes.
And you think that investigations wouldn't go on in an anarchist society? You think people wouldn't investigate people's losses?
But to the degree with the same science?
Well, they're definitely these neighborhood watchmen aren't going to get paid.
Build the roads?
Right?
Yeah, but where's
the road?
Oh my god. Who's going to pay for it? Like how
I will. Me.
How
Who's going to pay for insurance? This question is easily answerable. There is a common interest of people in this need, right?
Right.
When, for example, a friend of mine from my old school a while back killed himself, and there was this weird, I don't really know how to describe it.
Lucky.
Was sort of like benefit
so lucky. God damn it, I'm jealous.
thousands and thousands of dollars were raised for the funeral. So the family didn't pay anything out of pocket.
That's really nice, actually.
When things come up in a community, people help.
Yeah.
When, for example,
I mean, that's not untrue.
Let's say that Michael steals my car, right? And we can't prove who did it. We're looking, right?
Except for we find your car in his driveway, but short of that, yes. Which would happen, by the way. Michael has a long history of violence and theft, so.
Well, we can use that as evidence when looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't, okay, talking about that specifically, talking about the whole idea of criminal record, it's not, I'm not talking about being intentionally stupid. You should acknowledge the fact that a person could be a potential threat to you.
Yeah, right.
Just like when a person walks into Dollar General with a pistol on their hip, it's not wrong to look at them and go, this person is a potential threat to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Being a potential threat isn't being a threat. It's not the same, and responding as such is inappropriate.
That's why you ask for a background check.
Oh.
In the idea of a background check, it's valid to want that thing. It isn't your right to forcefully impose that, first off. And secondly, it isn't your right to force a person to not come into a commons, right, based on your wish that they're not around. That's wrongful. That's a negative right that you do not have.
In the transition,
just like copyright.
In the transitional period of creating this anarchist society or transitioning into one, it would be very dangerous during that time. And that's why I would argue that borders need to be strong, especially at that crucial time. Maybe afterwards, there could be arguments as to dismantle the concept of borders and just remove it entirely, because there are no real incentives for people to come in.
See,
but
I do believe
if you abandon principle, you have nothing.
No, not true. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices for pragmatisms.
Yeah, you if you abandon principles.
The anarchist communists of the 1920s abandoned their principles and ended up with the USSR.
Yeah, but what are you talking about? Like, let's say I could stick to my principles, but my family might die as a result of that. Because I was
if your end game is to form a perfect anarchist society,
not.
You can't abandon your principles.
Let your family die? Is that what you're saying?
Just kidding.
I'm not saying that you should let your family die.
I know. I'm making a stupid argument for no reason.
Well, okay. Talking about anarchism and danger.
By the way.
Do you seriously think that there's anything anarchists can actually legitimately do to defend themselves against the potential for danger? If seriously an actual attention-drawing anarchist movement started anywhere, do you really think
never will?
It's not going to be in constant danger?
Yeah.
Why abandon
that
principles?
Was my other thing with anarchism is how
I want to say we should
society.
we should be wrapping up very shortly, and by shortly I mean
I've got shit to do. Let's what do you want to wrap up on, Toby?
We're 17 after. Just I want to say we should have a borders argument, and we should talk about borders, because this is.
Let's make that our next episode. We'll talk about borders.
Sounds not too bad. It'll be 2 weeks from now. Of
Dragon
Ball Z.
You know what song to end on.
No, I'm not ending on any song.
I would want to live. If my utopian society existed, it would be a peaceful society, and one of those ways to ensure that peace is to have borders that doesn't let people in that will commit violence and violate my non-aggression principles.
To believe any society is going to be peaceful on paper,
one of the ways I
haven't taken in the concept of political corruption is naive, and is why no fucking system we have ever.
By the way, we can still have a conversation after this is done. We can still keep talking. Just
I would even argue that human beings desire, and even argue that human beings have a desire for authority.
And Rue, are you there? Just send me a message quickly, or
Michael,
put a message in chat quickly.
Thing I was trying to get at.
Yeah. There's a lot of human beings that actually prefer authority over their own individual.
I want to let communists. I want to let Rue have the last word to this. Honestly.
Hey,
I'm not reading it because it's gonna be something.
Yeah, it's gonna be something ridiculous.
I figured it out.
Try and be reasonable for me.
Wait. No,
Toby, wait.
Michael, you can say it next.
Okay, Mike, say a thing. Say a thing, but Rue's gonna have the last word. But say your thing.
Yeah, I figured out the perfect way to transition into an anarchist society.
What?
We just need to kill all the people that believe in authority. There we go.
That's true. Shut up.
That's
what I meant by abandoning
principles. People
principles.
have different ideas of anarchy, and you'll need to kill them.
Let's have gulags.
And the final.
That's not the final word. I think that.
Weedler's
I think no.
creepy-ass shit.
I think that's him saying he has the power right now.
And I'm not
Yeah.
not claiming in any way that it's an anarchist goal whatsoever. I'm just kind of flapping.
He's kind of just being an asshole. Yeah, he's flapping his mouth for no reason.
That's how it usually. Well,
Bash my fucking head into the wall until my brain makes a fucking A on the wall.
Not an argument.
It always gets that, but it seems to always get hijacked in that way. Like the anarchist
I think
movement
anarchy
in Russia
is.
got hijacked by Leninism, communism, and look what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that every movement ever has been fucking hijacked by idiots. So that's something. You
No.
for.
No. Government. And I know you basically said the same thing there because there is no difference between idiots and government, but no, government specifically.
Yeah, an authority figure is what I'm saying. Especially in crisis.
Mainstream liberalism. Mainstream liberalism has hijacked.
I hope you guys don't mind.
By
I have to
government.
drop off.
Well, we're going to wrap this up. So if anyone wants to say your last statements, say them now, and then Rue, post whatever you want to say last, unless that picture was what you wanted to say last. In which case,
I would just like to say on the
I've already
record
said
before the end of this episode, if you are a statist, please use a condom or
Please.
other contraceptives where available.
before you fuck me.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and sacrifice your firstborn to.
Yes.
And
Fuck it.
remember, children.
Actually, no, Azathoth. Fuck. Definitely sacrifice to Azathoth. Maybe he'll fucking stay asleep and we won't all live.
Yeah. Was that comic?
Ooh,
No.
I have a meme to end this on.
Yeah.
Can't understand, Toby. It's
Taxation. Is it taxation is theft? I hope so.
Free trade, nationalism. I don't have a problem with nationalism. I have a problem with collectivism. There's a difference.
Well, nationalism is not inherently good or bad. It's
Nationalism is just specific collectivism. Collectivism is collectivism.
same as government. I don't believe government is inherently good or bad.
Okay. Here's the final statement.
Work well for Canada.
Here's the final statement. 1 second. Rue says, I would like to say that genocide is like an inhuman act of kindness when you consider how it slows down our planet's overpopulation problem.
There isn't an overpopulation problem.
We're gonna end on that. We're gonna end on that. I think
There
just
you go.
being edgy.
That's our next topic.
Overpopulation.
That would be a great
Hey,
next
you guys both agreed on that, so I mean, there's something there.
Next episode can be overpopulation and borders.
Borders, yes.
And
Myths and
shitposting.
truths. And then underneath myths and truths. Underneath
More
myths
shit
and truths.
posting. More shit posting. Alright.
No, and
Sing
underneath.
it with me, everyone. To
Thanks.
the one
Thanks for watching if you did. If you didn't, I mean,
X gonna give it to
you know,
you.
that's a phallic statement, so.
Phallic?
Fallacious. It's not
What's a
neither of
phallic
those neither of those are words, so.
Go back to English.
A phallic statement? What kind of dick are you?
Yeah. Alright.
He said dick.
Bye, faggots!